Hello everybody, welcome to my comprehensive Zmodeler3 tutorial. In this series, we're going to be covering multiple different stages of creating a vehicle for Grand Theft Auto 5. In this first video, we're going to be going over how to position a light bar on the vehicle correctly, and a general Zmod overview of what it looks like and what some of the buttons do. So let's jump right on in and start. So when you first open Zmodeler after you've bought your license and have completed the verification for it and getting your license set up and import a model, you will be presented with a screen similar to this. Now at the bottom, when you first use Zmodeler, you're going to have an animation bar and a timeline bar at the bottom. At first, it's recommended to close it and get rid of it. And most of these you can drag off if it will work. Drag this one. So you can pretty much set up this display however you like. This is the way I have it. When you go to import a Zmodeler file, a .z3d, you go to File, you click Open, and you're going to navigate to wherever your file is. Just like any other program, whether it be like Photoshop, Microsoft Paint, uploading a picture to YouTube, or whatever. Anyways, so we have a charger loaded up right now, and this is what we're going to be using to make the tutorial with. So as you can see, you really can't tell it's a charger except for the outlines. And with your views, you can change them to however you like. You can set them up with just 2. You can do the 4, like I have it. And if you go up here to where it says where the positions are, you can click it and change it to a whole bunch of different things. But I'll go over those in a minute once we can see the vehicle. So let's continue on with our overview. This section here, this big gray empty section to the right, far right of your screen, this is where most of your parts are going to show up and you're going to be working out of the most as well. So right now we're in the hierarchy tab, so this is going to show you all your parts inside the file. So as you can see, Police 2, if we click the plus button, the chassis, if we continue, it'll bring up all the individual parts in the model that make up the car. We'll go into later when we get to it, but you'll notice that some things are bolded, some things are not. We'll go back over that at a later stage when we get to that point in this series. The next tab is your structure. This is the one you're going to be using a lot for doing your LODs and your collisions. And we'll get more in depth into this when we come to that part for doing our lights. And then obviously your last tab's your properties. It'll show you various properties and information about certain things selected. Right now, because we don't have anything selected in our viewports, it's just going to be blank. So for this, we're going to go back and stay in the hierarchy tab. And let's go to the top. So this is your undo and import and export buttons. So if you're importing different files, it's also down in here, and this is about the easiest to get it. Your save button, your new, your open. So this little icon here, the little cylinder spear, is your material browser. We'll be in this screen a little bit too when we get to the point of moving some things around for lighting. But this here will show you all the different materials that the vehicle is made up of and what they require and what adaptation they are using. And then over here it'll show you materials that aren't used, etc. And all your buttons up here. And these you won't be using a lot unless you're converting a model or scratch modeling, but you will be using this one here. This will bring up another screen with a whole bunch of different information that we'll go over at a later point. The next one here, the couple of squares. This is your texture browser. So when you open this, this one's gonna have, this is every single texture that's in your file. Whether it's your normals, your actual textures itself, like the logos you can see here, icons, different things like that. That's all housed in here. This is separate from what your materials are. This is just showing you everything that's in here. You can add and remove and replace and save things as you wish. We'll get into a bit of the more of the saving thing after, but in the adding, not so much for this series. But this is separate from what your materials are. Your materials are what's going to show up and make the vehicle show up correctly and give it the right kind of feel to it. So obviously mud flaps aren't going to be glossy, stuff like that. And then in our top toolbox here, we're going to have various different tools and things like that as well. These three buttons up at the top, your X, Y, and Z, those are your axis. And it's going to be how you move things around on what axis. You can click these on and off and move how you wish. We'll get into that when we put the light bar on the vehicle. Your next one over here is some different modes. I'll show you these in a bit, but it's the different modes that the parts are going to show up in, from polygons to edges and vertex, and then your kind of object, which is what it's in now. These over here, you're going to be using the dummy helper quite a bit, but these are different basic shapes and things you can create that you'll be using a lot. You'll be using the dummy helper for sure a ton in non-ELS. So on our top bar here, the toolbox, we have a few different tabs. We're going to start off with the create one. So you have different various things. The only one you're going to be using a lot in here is the copy tool, and it's pretty easy to use. You're going to select your part and click copy. Your display one, we're going to be in here a little bit for a couple of these tools that we'll get in a little more in depth after. Your modify is going to be the main one. This is the one that's going to be doing all your moving, your rotating, your scaling, detaching parts from things and stuff like that, and attaching various different things. So you've got several different options up here, and we're going to go over those too when we get into them. Rigging, you're not going to use this tab so much unless you're making EUP or player models. So in this series, we're not going to need to use any of these, so we can just ignore this whole tab. Your select tab is different various things to select parts. The main one we're going to be using in this is quad R, and that's going to be your main selecting thing. The last tab is your surface tab. There's a couple of your normals we're going to be using a little bit. You can go into your UV mapping from in here if you wish, but you can also right click in your views when you have parts selected. Unfortunately, I don't have anything selected. There we go. So you'll have more options when you have different things selected. I just have a dummy selected right now, so you can delete them. If you're looking for a specific part, you can find it in your views, and it'll bring it up on all your views, things like that. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna make it so we can at least see the car, so we would know what we're working on, because you can kind of see the general outline of the car here through the dummies, and these dummies are marking different points where the doors open, functions, where the door handles are, where the trunks open, where the wheels are, your lights, and things like that. So we're gonna go to our structure, and in here you're gonna notice that nothing is really selected. At the bottom you'll have your hierarchy again, which is nice. You can move things how you want, set them up, whatever. So we're going to click on LO1. And this is your level of detail. And now you can see we have the car, which is great. Now we can work on it. And if you want, you can select through these, and this is what your game's going to see at certain distances. And as you go, the model gets lower and lower, because when you have a vehicle like this, you don't want it with this level of detail 1,000 feet in front of you down the highway. You're gonna want something more like this. And if it's really far away, you're gonna want something like this. Because if you have a bunch of this model driving around in your game, it's gonna really kill your performance. So that's what these are. And then if you get your COL button, this is your collisions. And this essentially is the hitbox for your car. And we're going to be using a little bit of the collisions for the light bar on the roof. And you can use it for some of more external parts like your ram bars. If you really want to get into it, you can put it on your antennas and stuff like that as well. But this is what your collisions would look like for this model. We're going to deselect that and go back to LO. So we're going to select and find a light bar here. And there's several different resource websites you can go to get parts. You have lcpdfr.com, which has a ton of GTA 4 and GTA 5 development resources. When you're going through and looking for development resources, you want to make sure it's for GTA 5, because it will come in the Z3D format. You can also get files from GTA 4 that are formatted to work with GTA for Zmodeler. So as long as you have the right file format that it can import in the Zmodeler, you're going to have to play around with some textures, different things like that, just to get it to look right. But other than that, you can use either or as long as it's in the right file format. And Zmod opens a whole whack ton of different file formats, object files, .dea files, different things like that, but we're not going to go into those because those require more of you to texture them yourself and things like that, which we can go over at a later stage. Another website would be GTAPolicemods.com. They're mainly GTA 5 development resources are in there. You have Modification Universe, which has a lot of GTA 5 resources, and Modding Forums is another really good one that has a lot of GTA 5 development resources. Mind you though, you will go into these websites and you will find a lot of cross-posting. So when somebody uploads a file, they don't upload it to just one site unless they particularly want it to be an exclusive thing to that site. So you will see a lot of the same content on a lot of these websites, but it's great to check all of them out anyways, just to see what they have. Another way you can get parts is going through different development discords. Sometimes a lot of the developers will post Discord only dev parts in there, and they will also list different parts that you can buy from them, which is another really good resource if you're looking for some specific things that you can't find that are public but somebody has them for sale. So when we're going to put in parts that we know will work that are Z3D files, go up to our file, we're going to go to merge. This is how you're going to get 95% of your files in your parts. I'm going to go into my lights folder here, and we're going to select just a random light we can show you with here. Find something that's going to work for the car. I don't really have anything in mind that I want to do for this tutorial. We're going to use Rogue Thunder's DNR Synergy, just because we can. So you're going to select it, you're going to click import, you're going to be presented with a screen like this. Most of the time you want to select all. Certain parts might have split emissives and single emissives. So you want like to flash two colors back and forth from the same light head. You'd select the dual emissives, the split emissives. If you just want it to flash one, you can select the single. But for this case, we're going to click all, make sure everything in this screen is highlighted. We're going to click merge down at the bottom. And then you're going to see this come up. We can get rid of this. And we're going to click this box here to hide and show parts, and we're going to find this. So in your 3D view, it's nice to have the 3D view up so you can see where things are. To move around like I am now, to kind of rotate around, you're going to hold and just drag around your left mouse button. To pan around, you're going to hold both mouse buttons down and you can kind of pan around. And then to zoom in and out, you just kind of scroll. So we have this DNR synergy from, I believe, Rogue Thunder. So we're going to go over to our select and we're going to click the quad R. We're going to go down to one of our other several views here, either the top, the left, or the front. And we're going to work with, I'm going to work mainly in the left view. So now when you want to pick a certain view and enlarge it, all you got to do is come over. This is your toolbar for this specific view. You're going to have 4 of them, or 2 of them, depending on, or 1 of them, depending on how you have your viewport set. We're going to click this. It's the maximize button, same as on your internet browser. It's going to bring it up into 1. And then if you want to go back to your 4 views, you're just going to hit the little arrow. So with the quad R tool, to select something, you're going to hold your right mouse button and drag it over the part. You'll see this box come up, and then you're going to release, and your part's going to turn red. And now, when you go over to your hierarchy, either in your structure or your hierarchy, I'll keep it in the hierarchy tab just to make it easy. You're going to notice these boxes have turned red, which means they've been selected. And you notice on the police car, when we turn it on, the car is its black wireframe outline. You can see the part, the light bar highlighted red. And the box for the police car, or Dodge Charger, is gray. So we're going to go over to our modify tab. We're going to move, and I'm going to click on our x-axis. So we're only moving in our y-axis. And I'm going to show you the x-axis. So this is the x-axis, and then the z-axis is really hard to show in this view. But you can see it's kind of strange. You can see it moving in our other views. The z-axis is kind of funny. So we're going to turn our police car on. We're going to go into our left view, and we're going to move it up to about there. I'm going to go back. I'm going to select my x-axis. We're going to bring it right about here, right where it should be. We're going to zoom in and go back to our y-axis. So now this is easier to see where your bar is, and this bar is obviously not positioned right. So we're going to go to our top view, and I still have all my other views open, and you can do it from your front view too. The front view shows a good picture of it. So we'll just click our x-axis, and we're going to drag it over till it's about center of the car, which that looks pretty good. It's about center. And now we're going to go back to our y-axis. So remember, each view, the axis kind of changed. So your y-axis is still up and down in all these. It's just getting used to it. The other thing you're going to notice is when I'm going to select a different view here. I'm going to go back to top. I'm going to go to 3D. You're going to notice when you open 3D, your car is going to be reversed. That's the only thing you have to kind of remember, is to flip your 3D view around. And we're going to go down, and we're going to move the light bar down, position it onto the car. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm just going to show you where to get it. Just making sure we have no gaps. You're going to notice the light bar is clipping a little bit. So might have to edit the feet just a bit to get it right, but for this tutorial, we're going to leave it just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, just because this is a tutorial. For your model, you're going to want it to be perfect, extremely perfect. We can move the brackets around if we want it. That's looking probably right about where it's going to get for now, without really heavily modifying the mounting brackets and the feet for it, which we can get into in a later video. So now we have our light bar. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to we have the general position. It looks good. We're going to mess around with these brackets here so the brackets are in the right spot. Maybe mess around with the mounting feet just a bit. Just to get it right, because right now the bar, the middle piece is just sitting on top of the car. So we're going to go up to our very top toolbar here where different modes are. We're going to go into polygon mode. And we're going to click anywhere on the screen. You're going to see that the wireframe of the car here appears at gray and kind of ghosty a little bit, faded out. You're going to notice your light bar is here. We have some different things selected, highlighted in the bright orange, bright red. And you're going to notice some things that aren't. All these little dots are your polygons. And we're going to be using those a little bit. Maybe edge just to modify some of the bar to get it sitting just right on the car. But we don't want to modify anything that's highlighted. We want to deselect this. So to deselect something, you're going to have your quad R tool still on. You're going to hold your left control and you're going to hold right click again like we did to select the part. You're going to drag it over the part. You're going to do that. Release, and it's going to take away the highlighted parts. So I'm going to show you edge mode. This is edge mode. Edge mode's really good for moving if you want to move flat surfaces up and down, which we might do on the feet here. So let's play around with edge mode here. We're going to select it, and we're just going to drag it down. You're going to see how it moves around a little bit. Light bar, not really positioned right. Kind of goes over the door frame. Whatever. For our purpose, it's just fine. I'm going to go back out. I'm going to go into my 3D view. And it's touching the car. That's all I wanted out of it. I'm going to go back in to my front view. Deselect it. I'm going to go over to the other one. I'm just going to move it down just so it looks kind of half normal for the tutorial. Won't be making this to sell it or anything like that. Doing it to show you. So I'm going to drag this down to about the same spot, which looks pretty good. The other side, I'm just going to make sure, yeah, you're touching the car, which is okay for the tutorial. Now back to our front view. We need to do something with these brackets here. Not sure, it might work. So with both selected, it might not work as good. Let's go back. Let's see if we can do poly. Let's go back to poly mode. We're gonna move this around a little bit, maybe. I'm gonna drag it down to about there. I'm gonna deselect some things. And kind of move it. It'll take a little bit for you to kind of get used to how everything kind of moves. Unfortunately, we destroyed our bracket in the process of doing that. A little. Just a little. Fix that and make it look more like a bracket. Back to edge. You know there's going to be switching between these a lot. Kind of want to drag. Not gonna look the best, but whatever. For the tutorial. You're gonna find your own method to doing your own things in the way you can make it look good, but this isn't entirely correct. And you show this to some people, they're probably gonna get angry at you because it's not right. And you're gonna notice too, Zmodeler does an autosave every so long. Depending on how big your file is, it might take a long time, it might take 2 or 3 minutes. Don't recommend trying to click anything and it will act like it freezes. It'll just stop everything and it'll just save. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get any better with our mounting bracket here, because the light bar is not really 100% fit the car correctly. We'd have to mess around with the feet a little bit more. But this is just to give you an idea of how to move everything. We're going to go into a vertex tool. And this is kind of the same idea. It moves things on certain angles. Yeah, unfortunately, I have to go back to our edge, I think. Drag that down. Unfortunately, I'm destroying this light bar. Just to kind of give you an idea of how things move around, though. And it's not perfect. Again, because it's just to give you an idea of how things move around. So our light bar is half-ass mounted to the car, and it's not very good at all. Yeah. So that's that. We're gonna go to our material browser right quick. And you're gonna notice as we add things in, here's the materials right here, these four at the bottom, for the light bar. And we're gonna go over in the next video a little bit more about the light bar itself and how to set it up. But this is just a little quick video to give you a little overview of how to position the light bar and get it kind of where you want it. This is a rough mount. It's a terrible. I could have done better if I probably another hour or so work on it. But it's just to slap it in so we have an example, so we have something to work with later down the road in the video series. Anyways, we're going to do a quick review of some different parts. So you're going to see here's a dummy. I think this is your door dummy. Actually, I don't think it's a door dummy. It's a door handle, I believe. So all these little squares are dummies. So as you can over and around, you might notice that your car only has one wheel, which is completely and utterly, this is how it's supposed to be. This is fine, unless you have tandem axles in the back or things like that where you need to have a couple more wheels. But this is how it's supposed to be set up, so you're not missing wheels on your models. So what it is one wheel is modeled, and you're going to notice right where the other wheel should be, you have a dummy. That's where the next wheel is going to go. And it's all around, so you only have one wheel model on these. And then you're going to notice you have your plates on here, which is good. Some vehicles won't come with plates. If you want to have a plate on it, there's a dev resources on lcpdfr.com for the GTA 5 plate. So that's really it. So we're gonna save. I'm gonna go to File, Save As. Always save as, because if you click Save, it's gonna overwrite your base model, which would be just my charge. Then I'd have to go re-download it, which is something you don't want to do. You don't want to make it 6. So we're gonna save as, and I'm gonna go back just to my main folder, and I'm gonna call it video series, and it's gonna save it again. So that's going to be the first video of our small series. The next one we're going to go and we're going to be working with the light bar a little bit more in depth, going over some of the parts and a little bit of UV mapping and setting it up. I'll show you how to set it up as an extra. So the light bar itself, you can toggle it on and off, and I'm going to show you how to set it up to where it's there permanently, so you can't toggle it on and off. So that's going to be in the next video. We're going to likely add some visor lights as well, and I'm going to show you some things on the doors, to get how to make things work for doors in another video. So that's gonna be the first video. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, drop them below. My Discord's gonna be in the description of the video. It has a ton of developers on it that are by far more experienced than me, and we can answer any and every question, give you more help, whatever you need. It's there. When we get into it as well, my Discord has some development resources, some different guides for doing your light setups. There's video on templating, how to make the template. So this is the template that you see now on the card. Different things like that. There's some resources some people have already posted on there. Different guides. So that's that. If you need any help, put a comment below. Try for yourself, and if you can't get it, delete the light bar, start again. And it easy as just right clicking edit in your main mode, right clicking edit and delete. When you're done in your polygon modes and stuff, always go back to the object view, or you're not gonna get too far. So anyways, yeah, that's the first little series done. There here probably be 4 or 5 more videos, and by the end of the series you should be able to follow along and get your car into 5M or GTA 5 for non-ELS. So yeah, thanks for joining us. See you in the next one.